Aloha kako! Welcome back to the Neapapakahana Online Professional Development for our 6th grade curriculum, Let's Go from Mauka to Makai. In this video, we'll be covering Unit 3, Proportionality, Ratios, and Rates. Here are the Common Core standards that will be covered in this unit. Please feel free to pause this video if you would like to read them more thoroughly. If you have a copy of our curriculum, you'll be able to find all of these standards at the very beginning of the unit. As you can see, the standards in this unit are from the Common Core domain of ratios and proportional relationships, as denoted by the letters RP. The standards mainly focus on understanding the relationships between two quantities using ratios and rates. These relationships can be represented in many different but mathematically equivalent ways. In this unit, we'll be writing equivalent ratios. We'll also look at rates and rewrite them as unit rates, which is a way to make a comparison to the number 1. For example, $20 for 10 burgers is equivalent to the unit rate of $2 for 1 burger. Instead of comparing to the number 1, we can also compare to the number 100, which is percent. Percent means per 100. So if 2 out of 10 students are boys, then 20 out of 100 students are boys. That is 20 per 100, or 20% of students are boys. Once we have a good understanding of ratios and rates, we'll be able to solve proportionality problems and convert units. The Unit 3 activity that we'll be reviewing for this video is the Module 6 Representing Ratios and Rates activity. In this activity, we'll be looking at a river in downtown Honolulu and keeping track of the types of fish in this river. Over the years, this river has been taken over by invasive fish. Invasive fish are fish that come into a new environment and cause a lot of harm. In Hawaii, bass, catfish, and cichlids are considered to be invasive fish. They destroy the populations of non-invasive fish, such as the o'opu, the ama-ama, and the a'aholehole. In the table to the left, we have the year in the first column and the number of non-invasive and invasive fish in the second and third columns, respectively. In the first 4 years, the number of non-invasive fish dropped from 150 to 138 to 126 and then to 114. In that same time, the number of invasive fish climbed up from 6 to 12, then 18 and 24. The first part of this activity asks us to describe how the fish populations change over time. Once we have this rate, we can fill out the remaining values in the table. Please pause the video to find the rates and then fill out the table. Okie dokie, welcome back. As we can see, the non-invasive fish population decreases by 12 fish per year, or in other words, it changes by negative 12 fish per year. The invasive fish population, on the other hand, increases by 6 per year, so its rate is a positive 6 fish per year. With these rates, we can just decrease the second column by 12 and increase the third column by 6 as we go down the table. And this is the result. Part 3 asks us to compare the non-invasive fish with the invasive fish in Year 3 and Year 5 using a ratio. So let's look at the table for Year 3 and Year 5 and reduce the resulting ratios. Please pause the video to complete this part. Part 3 is pretty straightforward. In Year 3, the ratio of non-invasive fish to invasive fish is 126 to 18. This reduces to the ratio 7 to 1. In Year 5, the ratio is 102 to 30. This reduces to the equivalent ratio 17 to 5. Part 4 asks to find a year that the ratio of non-invasive fish to invasive fish will be 1 to 1. I'm going to go back to the previous table, so please feel free to pause this video to complete this part. As we can see, in Year 9, the ratio of non-invasive fish to invasive fish is 54 to 54, which reduces to an equivalent ratio of 1 to 1. Part 5 asks us to predict the number of non-invasive and invasive fish that would be present in year 12. As we can see, our table only goes up to year 10. However, we know that every year, the number of non-invasive fish decreases by 12, and the number of invasive fish increases by 6. So pause this video and use this information to predict the number of non-invasive and invasive fish that would be present in year 12. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, the number of non-invasive fish goes from 42 in year 10 to 30 in year 11 and 18 in year 12. We can also see that the number of invasive fish increases from 60 in year 10 to 66 in year 11 and 72 in year 12. Here is the result. Finally, we conclude this activity with an open-ended question. Many plants and animals like kalo, ulu, and the monarch butterfly were brought to Hawaii from other places, but they are not considered to be invasive. Why do you think this is? Can you name other plants and animals that are not from Hawaii but aren't invasive either? This activity is designed to help your students visualize linear relationships, which are arguably the biggest focus of 7th and 8th grade mathematics. Please note that while the invasive fish population is proportional to the year, the non-invasive fish population shows a non-proportional relationship. Furthermore, the relationship between the two populations is not proportional. In fact, it's not even linear. It's important that the students do not get into the habit of assuming that everything they see in mathematics is a proportional relationship. There are certain patterns and characteristics that we should all look out for before choosing a strategy to approach a problem. If you believe that your classroom needs to focus on this idea, then this is a great activity for that. If the students are struggling with finding equivalent ratios, then it may be helpful to create a second table where the students can practice reducing the population ratios in the original table. If students are struggling to find the year 12 population in Part 5, then it may be helpful for the students to extend the original table but add a couple more years at the end. We don't really recommend our teachers suggest this method because there are a lot of creative ways to find the answers to this part, and we believe that there is a lot of value in exploring different ways on their own. We also think that it would be great if students could share all of the different strategies that they've used. There are a lot of interesting questions that you can add to this activity. For example, a really important question could be, if the river continues to change like this, would the non-invasive population completely disappear? If so, when? If you want to challenge your students further, you can also ask something like, if the river continues to change like this, how many invasive fish would there be in year 50? You can also ask the students whether they think these numbers are realistic and why or why not. This activity also presents a great opportunity for students to do research on their own to learn more about these fish that are in their neighborhoods. They can also share an interesting fact or a personal experience that they've had with these fish. Thank you for joining us in this unit. We'll see you again in our next video where we explore Unit 4. Mahalo nui!